Has anyone just watched the Mother of All Cons BBC iPlayer documentary? Because it is truly disgusting. It is a children's charity who was founded by Jean O'Brien and her child, Megan Barbie, who supposedly had a brain tumour. And it was a charity called Believe in Magic, and it was set up by then 16-year-old Megan in 2012. And based in Guildford, Surrey, the pair said they had been inspired to start the charity by Megan's own diagnosis of a brain tumour 3 years earlier, and it became a huge success and created moments of magic for sick children, including events at Hamleys, toy stores, trips to Disneyland Paris, and visits to Buckingham Palace. And the charity quickly gained a lot of backing, and one of the biggest supporters was Meghan's favourite band, One Direction, who wore wristbands in their shows supporting the charity, and a raffle for backstage passes raised £400,000 for the charity, and Harry Styles' mother, Anna, actually climbed Kilimanjaro for this cause. Around 3 years of fundraising, Jean announced that Meghan's health had declined and she needed treatment in America. But by this point, a handful of parents started becoming suspicious of some of the claims being made, pointing out strange omissions like Jean refusing to reveal who Meghan's doctors were. And Joe Ashcroft was one of those parents. She also fundraised for life-saving treatment in the US for her young son. And, it was just an interest to begin with, and then it turned to suspicion the more I read. And the parents managed to ascertain that Meghan and Jean weren't in a US hospital, but the fact was they were actually at Disney World. They hired a private investigator who snapped images of them with their luggage. She didn't appear to have oxygen tanks they claimed she needed at all times. And despite being trolled by many parents for raising concerns, the group urged the Charity Commission to investigate. And after finding out more than £100,000 was unaccounted for and that some money had been transferred into Jean's personal account, the Charity Commission froze the charity's accounts. Shockingly, on March the 28th, 2018, Meghan died at the age of 23. And when her sister had died, she was absolutely convinced Meghan was not dead, perhaps hoping it was some con. And Nina had been working with some of the parents who had been investigating her mother, and she also convinced something else was wrong. Then there was a coroner's inquest into Meghan's death, and it is reported that the coroner concluded Meghan's brain was normal, bearing no tumour. In fact, she likely died from natural causes, cardiac arrhythmia caused by fatty liver disease. It was also revealed Meghan had been taking high doses of liquid morphine. So Nina continued to investigate and come to believe Meghan was the victim of fabricated or induced illness. Like Gypsy Rose's mother, much absence. And in an overview of fabricated or induced illness, the NHS said it's a rare form of child abuse, and it happens when a parent or carer exaggerates or deliberately causes symptoms of illness in the child. And no one knows now where Jean is, though. She apparently reportedly moved to France at one point, and she strongly denies the allegations surrounding this investigation, saying, "I loved and cared for my daughter." Suggesting I might have harmed her in any way is absolutely sickening. And the charity Believe in Magic folded in 2020. This case really reminds me of Dee Dee and Gypsy Rose, because the case is just disgusting. Can you imagine you're raising money for this child, believing to have a brain tumour and needing 24-hour care all the time, and being backed by celebrities such as One Direction and stuff like that, and I just feel it's absolutely disgusting.